Hello everyone. In this channel, I always do not use the best English. I do not have the best equipment, but what I do have is information. And when a subscriber asks me a question, and the question goes in the lines of what is going on, what is happening to me, why am I feeling what I'm feeling, and random things are happening so quickly, and flies are popping out of nowhere and disappearing and so forth, I must make them a video. And the information I have is not 100% mine. And I'm going to leave the links below, and you can go and subscribe to their channel. And hopefully you'll get more information out of it. But what is happening right now, our solar system is moving through a cosmic cloud. And this cloud is very large. We go through this cloud as we spin around a galaxy, which takes about 2 million plus years. In this cloud, the sun sort of goes to sleep, the best way I can put it. And once it goes to sleep, more cosmic energy and cosmic rays are forced into our atmosphere. Funny thing has been happening to our Earth since 2007. Different portals, different cosmic gateways are opening. And when we entered this cloud, the whole solar system began to change. Schumann Resonance, it is the key to us experiencing consciousness on this round Earth, pun intended. So what happens when we shift through, say, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years of consciousness to a different consciousness that we are going to be experiencing going ahead, going forward, things get a little confusing, things get a little mushy. So I'm going to let this person explain what Schumann Resonance is and what Schumann Resonance does to your consciousness. And if this does not answer your question, once we come out of the other side of the cloud, we'll be coming out of an ice age. Yes, you heard me correct. Because the sun itself is going into like a little sleep, taking a little nap. Okay? So enough of me talking. Let's hear what they have to say. Thank you.
There are a variety of ways to explain the Schumann resonance. The easiest definition for those that are not scientific is everything that is space has a magnetic pulse around it. And our Earth is creating a magnetic pulse. That pulse is omnidirectional, pulsing in and out. And that pulse is the Schumann resonance. It goes to the edge of our stratosphere, and then that pulse comes back in, goes out and in, constantly in a breathing process, in a toroidal breathing process. That is essentially the Schumann resonance, the background electromagnetic frequency of how particles follow North Pole to South Pole and what flow the particles go in. So the graph here that we're showing on the 6th of May began a series of spikes in the Schumann resonance. And you can see in the graph how high they're going. Now, if you were to have a longer term of this graph and go over the period of years, none of this stuff would be this high. And on the graph on the 8th, you can see it's jumping over even the 110 series. What that is meaning is the way electrons from the North Pole to the South Pole are being exchanged at the stratosphere means it is going very fast. That means the inside of our Earth, the inner Earth, which is creating the most amount of coalition of electromagnetic particles, is going through the crown of the Earth and coming out the base and making the magnetosphere that goes around Earth. That magnetosphere is taking particles in from our solar system. And some of those are highly charged gamma particles, magnetic particles, light wave particles. All of this is charging up the dynamo that is the magnetic Earth process. So that is the Schumann resonance. We as individual beings who are made up of 67 trillion plus cells who use water and pH as electrical conductivity, and we use chemical stimulus electroconductivity, meaning we do have a pole, positives and negatives within us. Our consciousness can tune in to the Schumann resonance, or the heartbeat of the Earth. The way in which Earth can commune or communicate to those on its surface through this background electromagnetic frequency. And it is your consciousness within inside your body, and the body becomes the instrument of understanding the Schumann resonance. Think of a plumbing system that has a pressure in it to keep the water flowing. The Schumann resonance represents the overall pressure of how fast energy moves through the ley lines of this planet, through the micro and macro versions of the ley lines, how they affect communities and consciousness, and then sub-communities and consciousness. Sacred spaces and places, like we were talking before in grid work, that is the plumbers coming to the plumbing sources, the well springs, and making sure the flow is going good. Your consciousness expands and contracts in one tick of the second. This Schumann resonance, the spike in it ultimately determines those that are on the separation of density timeline, those that are saying, I'm a sovereign enough being to stay a transforming being of light, meaning light that's coming to me, I am transforming it into a higher form of light around me. Making sure my own Schumann resonance is increasing, my own density of light is increasing in my environment, saturating in it because your bubble of reality means something to you. When we have spikes in the Schumann resonance, that means there's a tremendous amount of energy available for people to do shamanic things, magical type things, and actually able to mine like the miners deep underground, pulling out the high-powered energies to make mystical moments that are long-lasting, affecting to you. Our solar system has its own Schumann resonance, and our Earth is floating in the Schumann resonance of our solar system, and we as human beings are in both Schumann resonance, in the bubble of Earth space, but also in the Earth that is in the bubble of the Schumann resonance of our solar system. So there's two layers to see this here. So the Earth Schumann resonance, if you look on the 8th of May, has gone well over the 110 rate. That's unheard of. This doesn't happen. And it's still increasing. So we have entered a section of solar space where the solar density magnetic frequencies are so fast moving that the planets themselves are now cycling up their magnetic frequencies, and all the beings that are on the surface, subsurface, and astral must also begin that process of operating as their electrons move faster to north and south pole processes. And it'll be our consciousness that entrains our personal magnetic field to be in communion with the changes on this planet as well as the solar system. Yourself and your higher consciousness. We all know our higher self. A higher self is what tunes into the solar system Schumann resonance and allows that medium of our consciousness to connect to the instrument of our bodies. Everything is amped up on the human Earth scale and on the solar system scale. So think of us human beings as the microvolts, the planet the macrovolts, and then the planet is the microvolts inside the solar system Schumann resonance. So it goes up another scale. And then our solar system has the part of the galactic Schumann resonance, which is the background electromagnetic frequencies of how light is exchanged in the propagated medium. So if the person's naturally a consciousness explorer, they will tend to have more of those types of frequencies, some more of those types of experience. Remember, the Schumann is a resonance. So it's trying to match what you're going through in equal co-creation. So if your focus is on politics, that stuff will be greatly amplified for you. If your focus is on spirit, that will be greatly amplified. And it'll be your consciousness going through the ups and downs of all the energy, trying to transform light into an experience that has memories. Now, if it's a spirit person, they go to do their morning meditation on a cyclical process and the Schumann resonance is way up, they may begin to have very intensified experiences. All the electrons are moving fast. That also means our unseen world is moving even faster. So that means the entities, non-physical entities of this world, they're really amped up. They've had quite a few cups of coffee, and they're not going to stop. And what are they doing? What they normally do, just at a faster pace. So people might find drama suddenly appears and disappears, long moments of intense oh my God, what's going on in my life, followed by mystical experiences, followed by boredom. All processes are accelerated, all patterns are accelerated. So there's the inevitable where when the frequency spikes are so high like they are now, those that cannot raise their frequency become their programs accelerated. So what would take somebody, a normal person, weeks to get angry over something will be in moments, because they're being driven to release the energy, because consciously they can't, but subconsciously it's going to happen anyways because the electrons are moving so fast. The cool thing about this Schumann resonance spike, if you guys are looking at the graph there, eventually it's going to come down. Now, those that are conscious explorers engage the Schumann resonance and raise their frequency to match the new level, create self-healing and nurturing moments in those expressions of high Schumann resonance time. When the consciousness spike comes down is where your greatest healings will begin. Rewiring, recircuiting, your guides and guardians coming and doing mass energy clearing and healings on you, so that the next spike that comes, you will be more prepared to deal with the different form of self-healing and nurturing and the communication that it takes. And when we can become entrained, using the law of entrainment with the heartbeat of the planet, we have access to unlimited sources of energy to use our precognitive workforce inside us. And break those words down, precognitive workforce inside us. So I want to add another thing of a type of experience that people may begin to observe in others. So a lot of the audience is, they have friends that they want to wake up, and they ultimately know that they're not going to until they do, but they keep trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying until the point they're enabling. Those people that are enablers, meaning, you're always forwarding emails about this and that, look at this and this, you are going to get hit the most when these consciousness spikes go up. The spikes in the Schumann resonance go up, and then their consciousness is forced to go up. So advice to those information brokers and sharers, who are like, telemarketers, constantly bringing the next thing up for the next person to be awaken. Stop doing it. Stop doing it is my advice to you. The amount of energy that you're going to lose, disappointment that you're going to get, versus going out into nature itself, create your own membrane of connection, the body being the instrument for the mystical experience to flow through you, of the rapid flow of energy that's happening during these great spikes in the Schumann resonance. But this is the highest spike that we've now had.